Happiness is an illusion, and that's why you'll never catch it. But what if we've been looking at happiness all wrong? What if the key isn't chasing happiness, but discovering something far deeper, something that actually lasts? In this video, we'll uncover what ancient wisdom and modern science reveal about lasting fulfillment. We spend our lives chasing it, convinced that just around the corner we'll finally arrive. We tell ourselves, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I meet the right person, when I make more money, when life finally falls into place. And sometimes it feels like we've made it. That fleeting moment when everything aligns, you hit a goal, and for a while, life seems perfect, but then it fades. The excitement wears off, the rush disappears, and before you know it, you're searching for the next thing that will finally make you happy. A new job, a bigger achievement, a fresh start. So why does happiness always seem just out of reach? We think the answer is simple. I just need more success, more love, more adventure. But if that were true, why do people who seem to have it all still feel lost? Why do we keep repeating the same cycle, never quite arriving at the happiness we expect? What if the problem isn't that we haven't found happiness? What if the problem is that we were never meant to chase it in the first place? Because Jewish wisdom teaches something radically different. It doesn't tell us to pursue happiness. It actually warns against it. Happiness isn't a destination. It's not something you can hold on to. The more you grasp for it, the more it slips through your fingers, like trying to catch water in open hands. So if happiness isn't the goal, then what is? The answer has been hidden in plain sight for thousands of years. And once you see it, you'll never look at happiness the same way again. What if I told you that happiness isn't just hard to hold on to, it was never meant to last? Most people never question their pursuit of happiness. It feels natural, even logical. We assume that if we work hard, achieve enough, or find the right person, we'll finally feel complete. But here's what no one tells you. Happiness was never designed to stay, and that's not a flaw. It's how the human mind works. Psychologists call it the hedonic treadmill, the idea that no matter what happens to us, good or bad, we eventually return to our emotional baseline. Think of it like running on a treadmill. You move forward, but you never actually get ahead. No matter how much success or pleasure you experience, your happiness level eventually resets, pushing you to chase the next high. Win the lottery? Studies show that within months, you'll feel just as happy or unhappy as before. Achieve your biggest dream? At first, it's exhilarating, but over time, it becomes normal, and you start looking for the next thing to chase. And so the cycle repeats. We convince ourselves just one more thing. Then I'll be happy. A new house, a bigger paycheck, a better relationship. And for a while, it feels like we're getting somewhere. But before long, the excitement fades, and we're back where we started, searching for the next high, the next goal, convinced that this time will be different. But if this is how the human mind works, what can we do about it? Is there another way to approach happiness, one that actually works? Jewish wisdom saw through this illusion long ago. In Ecclesiastes, King Solomon, one of the wealthiest and most powerful men in history, wrote, "I built houses, planted vineyards, amassed silver and gold, denied myself nothing my eyes desired. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done, it was meaningless, a chasing of the wind." If happiness came from pleasure or success, Solomon should have been the happiest man alive. Instead, he was the first to admit it never lasts. Because happiness, as we define it, isn't the answer. So if happiness always fades, what should we be chasing instead? That's where everything changes. So if happiness is always fading, does that mean we're doomed to chase it forever? Or is there another way? If happiness was never meant to last, then what was? The world tells us that happiness should be our ultimate goal. But Jewish wisdom offers a completely different perspective. It doesn't say, be happy. Instead, it asks a much deeper question. What is your life truly about? Because the moment you stop chasing happiness and start pursuing meaning, everything changes. Ancient. Jewish texts rarely speak about happiness the way we do today. They don't treat it as a goal to achieve, but as something that naturally emerges from a life filled with purpose. Take the Hebrew word for happiness, Simcha, Simcha. It doesn't just mean feeling good. It shares a root with the word tzemash, which means to grow. In other words, happiness isn't about pleasure, it's about growth. The moments of deepest joy don't come from comfort. They come from challenge, from becoming more than you were yesterday, from doing something that matters, something that lasts beyond the moment. That's why Jewish wisdom never separates happiness from purpose. Think about a time when you finally got something you really wanted, maybe a promotion, a new car, or a dream vacation. At first, it felt amazing, but after a while, the excitement wore off, and you started looking for the next thing. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you felt truly fulfilled? Was it after buying something new? Or was it after creating something, giving something, or pushing yourself beyond what you thought possible? People who dedicate their lives to something greater than themselves, whether it's their family, their community, or a cause they believe in, often describe a sense of deep, unshakable joy, even in difficult times. Because real joy doesn't come from what you receive, it comes from what you contribute. Think about it. The most meaningful moments in life don't come from simply feeling good. They come from becoming whole. The greatest joy isn't found in avoiding struggles, but in overcoming them. And true fulfillment isn't about getting more, it's about giving more, and that's the key difference. Happiness fades, but meaning endures. When we make happiness the goal, we live in a constant state of frustration, always needing more, always feeling like something is missing. But when we build a life of meaning, happiness stops being something we chase, and instead becomes something that follows. So how do we apply this to real life? That's exactly what we'll explore next. So if happiness fades, but meaning endures, how do we build a life that actually brings us joy? The answer isn't in chasing pleasure or avoiding struggle. It's in something far deeper: purpose. Jewish wisdom teaches that happiness isn't something you find. It's something that emerges when your life is aligned with something greater than yourself. It's not the goal, it's the byproduct of living with meaning, of waking up each day with a reason to move forward. That's why the happiest people aren't the ones who seek comfort above all else, but the ones who embrace challenges for the sake of something bigger. Think about it. Who experiences deeper, lasting joy? A person who spends their life chasing fleeting pleasure? Or someone who dedicates themselves to something truly meaningful? A person who builds a family, contributes to their community, or creates something that matters doesn't have to chase happiness. It follows them naturally. But what happens when life gets hard? No matter how much we try to control things, setbacks happen: pain, loss, failure. And if happiness is your only goal, then the moment life becomes difficult, you lose everything. But when your life is built on purpose, you can withstand anything. Viktor. Frankl, a Jewish psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote in Man's Search for Meaning, "Those who have a why to live can bear almost any how." He saw firsthand that the people who survived the darkest moments weren't the strongest or the healthiest. They were the ones who had a reason to keep going. But here's the real secret. You don't need to wait for hardship to discover your purpose. You don't need to lose everything to start living with meaning. The choice is already in front of you right now. So how do you take that first step? That's where things get practical. We've seen what ancient wisdom teaches about happiness. But does modern science agree? Surprisingly, research confirms what Jewish thought has been saying for thousands of years. Happiness isn't about what you get, it's about what you give. Psychologists have studied happiness for decades, and the findings are clear. People who focus on purpose, connection, and contribution report higher life satisfaction than those who prioritize pleasure or personal success. In fact, researchers have found that happiness isn't something we achieve, it's something that emerges when we live with meaning. One of the most striking studies followed two groups of people: those who pursued pleasure-driven happiness and those who pursued purpose-driven fulfillment. The first group focused on personal success, entertainment, and comfort. The second group invested in relationships, growth, and helping others. At first, the pleasure-driven group reported higher levels of happiness. But over time, something changed. The more they chased personal satisfaction, the more it slipped away. Many ended up feeling anxious, empty, even depressed. Meanwhile, the purpose-driven group felt something different, a deep sense of peace, resilience, and lasting well-being. Even neuroscience backs this up. Studies show that acts of kindness, gratitude, and purpose-driven actions trigger long-term positive effects in the brain. Unlike fleeting pleasures, these experiences rewire neural pathways, strengthening areas linked to fulfillment. This is why people who dedicate themselves to something greater, whether it's a cause, their family, or their faith, often describe an unshakable sense of joy, even in hardship. Purpose provides something that happiness alone never can: resilience. And yet, despite all this evidence, most of us still fall into the same trap, believing happiness will come from external achievements, possessions, or the next big moment. So, why do we keep making the same mistake? Because changing our mindset takes more than just knowledge. It takes action. So how do we stop chasing happiness and start building something real? Here are 3 simple ways to shift your mindset today. And that's where everything becomes real. Understanding that meaning leads to happiness is one thing, but how do you actually live it? Most people assume that purpose is something big, a grand mission, a calling, something that requires a complete life overhaul. But that's not true. Purpose isn't something you wait for. It's something you create, right where you are, with what you have right now. Jewish wisdom teaches that meaning isn't found in what you do, but in how you do it. It's not reserved for world-changing moments or dramatic transformations. It's woven into the small, everyday choices you make. In your work, your relationships, the way you speak to others, the way you face challenges. That means living with purpose doesn't require abandoning your current life. It requires shifting your mindset. Instead of asking, "What will make me happy?" start asking, "What will make my life meaningful?" Because meaning isn't something that suddenly appears. It's something you build through action, through connection, through the way you show up in the world, and you don't have to start big. In fact, the most powerful changes come from the smallest actions. Pay attention to the moments when you have a choice to engage deeply or stay on the surface, to listen or be distracted, to give or take. Choose to be present. Choose kindness over convenience. Make time for the people who matter. Help someone without expecting anything in return. Purpose isn't found in distant dreams. It's found in how you live today. And here's the truth. The more you focus on meaning, the less you feel like something is missing. You stop chasing happiness because you no longer need to. You're no longer searching for something outside of yourself. You're building something real, something lasting. Happiness isn't the goal. It's the side effect of a life lived with meaning. And once you start living this way, you'll wonder why you ever searched for happiness in the first place. What do you think? Have you ever felt stuck chasing happiness? Drop a comment below and let's talk about what truly brings fulfillment. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights on purpose and meaning. We We spend so much of our lives searching for happiness, believing it's something we need to chase, something always just out of reach. But as we've seen, happiness was never meant to be the goal. Jewish wisdom, modern psychology, and even neuroscience all point to the same truth. The deepest, most lasting joy doesn't come from what we get. It comes from what we give. Not from avoiding struggle, but from growing through it. The real question isn't, how can I be happy? The real question is, how can I live with meaning? Because when you build a life of purpose, happiness follows, not as a fleeting moment, but as something deeper, something real. And maybe the most surprising part? You don't have to wait. You don't need to change everything overnight. You can start right now. A conversation, a moment of kindness, a choice to live with more intention. Because in the end, happiness isn't found in chasing something more. It's found in becoming something more. And once you see the difference, you'll never look at happiness the same way again.